Hello, hello. I am really doing a really late night YouTube. I know this is like totally unusual for me to drop on or in here at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Anyway, maybe if you're in California, you're getting me at a pretty decent hour, but I wanted to jump in here and say hello and talk about something that's on my mind because we just came out of a class, my 4-week master class, and I wanted to talk a little bit about these credit cards and what is going on when you're in debt such as this. So we had a class member that has over $20,000 on one credit card, almost 20,000 on another, almost 10,000 on another. So they're covered up in credit card payments. So I wrote the income here, 5,400 and then 2,500 in living expenses. So let's run those numbers right quick. 5,400, and I want to show you exactly what I'm doing so that you have an idea of how to gain some cash flow if you're in a situation where you're maxed out on your credit cards, or maybe you're right at breaking even on your cash flow. Cash flow is king, no matter what other people say on YouTube, that cash is king. We're a credit society. Cash is trying to go away. And I mean, try going to the bank and seeing if you can draw out $7,000 and see that the look that they give you. You know, when you go into a bank now and you're like, hey, I need $7,000 cash, they look at you like you're trying to rob them or something because they don't have a lot of cash available at the banks anymore. This isn't we're not in a cash society. And when everybody understands that credit is king, cash flow is king, not cash, you understand that you have to learn how to use that bank so that you're using credit. I think it was 1913 that they took away the gold standard. Am I right? So it's like, you know, cash is no. I mean, you have to understand that they have moved us into credit. That's why your credit score is so important to them, because that bases how much interest that they can pay you. Are they going to hike your interest rate because you've got lower credit? Sure, sure, sure. It's about making money, right? So the point is, I know, right? I know, right? The point is that if you know how to use the tools at the bank and you understand that your credit is what you're wanting to increase, then all of the other things kind of go away financially as far as worrying about, you know, don't we worry about everything? And most of the time it's because we don't have enough money. You know, we have more month than money, and we're starting to run out by the end of the month because we're making payments like this, like we're getting ready to talk about here. The point is, oh my goodness, bankruptcy. Woo! Bankruptcy, I'm not real sure that that's going to help anything. I hope we can find you solutions through the channel here before you move into a bankruptcy, because I'm telling you, I've not seen many people have success with that, so be careful with that, okay? All right, back to this. These are credit cards, and her income is 5,400. She has 2,500 in living expenses. So here we go. 2,500. I'm going to do the numbers so that I don't mess up. So that's 2,900 left after her living expenses. Now remember, living expenses are food, gas, utilities, tithing, any giving that you do, car insurance, anything, your hair getting done every month. I mean, anything that you're going to spend in a month outside of your debt payments is your living expenses. Okay. So make sure you know how to calculate your living expenses, because if you are doing a worksheet and you're not showing all of your expenses in a month, let's say that you're a tither and you forget to put in that $100 a week that you pay in tithe regularly, then it's going to throw off your numbers. So make sure you know your numbers. That's super important. And if you're like me, the way I used to be, I didn't want to look at my numbers, because if I looked at my numbers, I might see how bad it is. Okay. But you might be surprised. Okay. So make sure you know your numbers. Okay. So 5,400 income, subtract out her living expenses. And now we're going to see what her debt payments are. So she's got 411, 540. 124, and then her house is 1350. That is $2,425. And then she had a small credit card that I didn't put on here. Hawaii. I bet it's not late there. I bet it's not late in Hawaii. Then again, is it the same? What time is it in Hawaii right now? So she has credit card number 3, or number 4. I'm sorry, I'm going to throw that in here because it is 125. So we're going to add the 125 to her debt payments. So 2,550. So this is her debt payments. So what does that mean? So she has $350 per month in cash flow. Okay. $350 per month in cash flow. How do we increase? It's 5 p.m. in Hawaii. How cool is that? You all are still enjoying the sun. Yeah. Okay. So $350 in monthly cash flow. This means, for you guys that are just new to this and you're just learning, cash flow is what you have left over out of your income after you have paid everything you're going to pay in a month, from debt payments to babysitting fees, everything. Okay. So make sure you know your numbers. She has 350 cash flow left. How can we increase her cash flow? How can we increase her cash flow so that she is coming into some kind of debt elimination? All right. We talked about this on a live. I think we did this on Friday and Saturday. So if you want to go back and catch those lives, do that. Get educated on how to use these credit cards. So her living expenses are 2,500, and most of them she can use on a credit card. What did I mean by that? Well, I meant that you can charge your gas, right? You can go to the gas station, charge your gas. Let's say that that is going to be $250 a month in gas for your car. You can charge your food. How much do you spend in food a month? Restaurants, okay? Grocery stores. So she may be spending $1,000 a month on food. What else do we spend on? Netflix, your alarm system, the monthly subscriptions, the Amazon subscriptions. What other subscriptions do you have? Because that's chargeable on a credit card. So we're going to put subscriptions. What else? How about your car insurance? Can you charge your car insurance on a credit card? I can. So let's charge $370 for the car insurance. What else do we have that we can charge? How about, let's see, gifts? Any kind of giving that you do? What's another really good one? Why am I not thinking? What else do I charge? Your utilities? Okay, so maybe your utilities are, well, they could be quite pricey, but let's say 300 per month. Okay, I hope I'm not running out of off the screen here. All right, so if we have $1,000, let's say, that we can use in food, and then, gosh, we got so many things to work with here. So let's write this up here. She has $350 in cash flow currently. I'm going to erase this off so I can use this side again. What would prevent you from taking this credit card and charging your car insurance and utilities on it? So 370 plus 300 for utilities, that's $670. So she is going to pay $670 every month because she has to pay her electric and she has to pay her car insurance, okay? So what prevents her from taking the $670 in income and putting it into this credit card and then paying these bills when they come due throughout the month? Nothing. Nothing prevents you from putting extra into your card to turn around and charge it back out later in the month. What happens when her income goes into the credit card? So let's do the numbers. 20,371 is the balance of this credit card. She puts in $670 to cover the car insurance and the electric. All right, so let's do the math. 20,371 and 670 income going in 19,701. What happened to this $411 payment that was due on this credit card number one? Then it's gone. You satisfied it. Then you put in, if you put in your income into the credit card to charge whatever it is you're going to be using anyway, when the income goes in, it satisfies this $411. Well, what happened to your cash flow when this was satisfied? Didn't you just add $411? Right? So now you have $761 in cash flow per month. What happens when you do the same thing to credit card number two? What if you took your $1,000 in food that you're going to be buying food every month anyway, and you put it into this credit card, dropping it down to $18,914. Then as you charge food, you go to the grocery store and spend $100. You go to the restaurant the next day, spend $50. It slowly pays for your food throughout the month. What happens to this $540 payment that you had due on the credit card? It's satisfied. So if you take and add your numbers here, that means that you gained $1,301. No, you didn't gain. You now have $1,301. up from 350 in cash flow just because you used your credit cards correctly. All right. I see this every day. I want to reiterate when we're talking in these lives about how to do this, because you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're looking for a way to increase your cash flow so that you can start paying off some debt. Okay, so if you're doing this with money you're already going to be spending every month regardless, you're using your credit cards as expense cards. You can do the same thing with this credit card and this one because she still has more things she can put onto a credit card. What happens is when you're gaining this cash flow, what keeps you from putting it onto this balance? So the 20,371 for credit card number one, you put in 670 to cover your, what were we covering? The car insurance and the utilities. I'm doing this again so that you make sure you have this in your head. Then what about the 1301 that we have in cash flow going into this card now to start paying it down? That could be a really easy way for you to get your debt under control until you get your credit scores up, but you're still doing some debt elimination just because you're using your credit cards like this. Okay? So I want you guys to be aware that where there's a will, there's a way. And if you don't have a line of credit yet, but you're wanting to gain some extra cash flow, this could be the way to make it happen. If you have a line of credit, then you're in a little better position because now you can start eliminating the debt. I'm not real sure you would want to with the credit cards, though. Credit cards can be your friend. I know. I've heard gurus say, cut them up. Are you an idiot? Cut them up. But the point is that they can be good for you to use. And I've always enjoyed using them, especially since I learned how to use them. So stay encouraged. Be looking for the tools that serve you at the bank instead of throwing out your minimum payments on these things like you are. And remember what I told you, if you break these payments up, if you have a $400 payment due on a credit card, try to break that down into $100 payments per week. What does that do? Well, let me tell you what it does. Credit cards, most of them are on a 25-day interest cycle. What does that mean? Well, I can get this aboard erase stuff here. Okay, so credit cards are on a 25-day cycle. Okay, so that means that from day one of the statement date, it starts the interest cycle. So here we go. We're gaining interest. They're going to be charging or calculating based on how long you let a balance set for 25 days. They want you to let it set the whole 25 days. Why? Because if you have a $10,000 balance and you're letting it sit here and you're going to make your minimum payment, and let's say it's a 29% interest rate. Let's do the numbers. 10,000 times 29% is $2,900. But remember, that is for the entire year. So let's divide that down into 12 months. So divided by 12, it's $241.66. So that's the interest that they would charge you if you left this sitting for the whole 25 days until this due date. So if you don't pay off the credit card on the due date, then you're going to get the interest charged. Okay. Now, the banks charge with these credit cards on the average daily balance. So when we hear that, it kind of triggers something. Well, what does the average daily balance mean? Well, that means that if it stays at 10,000 the whole time, then of course they're going to charge the interest based on the 10,000. But if this day it's at 9,800 because you made a $200 payment, and then this day it's at 10,100, then they're going to take the average between the high and the low, basically, and calculate the interest charge at 29% on the average. Okay, so what is the average? When you're doing averages, and I'm not a math whiz, but this is one thing that I did learn in high school. Your high balance is 10,100. Your low balance was 9,800. You would add those two numbers together, so 19,900, and then divide by 2 because there's two numbers here, right? So let's do it. So 19,900 divided by 2 is 9,950. So $9,950 would be your average daily balance. Then they would take that times the 29% and calculate your interest, okay? I hope that makes sense because I don't even understand math. I can't even believe I'm sitting here doing math. All right, so when you allow the credit card to cycle for the whole 25 days, they're going to charge you more interest because you're allowing the balance to sit like that, okay? Now, let's talk about what doing multiple payments throughout the week and the month may do to help you. It's going to do, it may do two things. I don't want to say it will because I'm not guaranteeing anything, but from the time that I've been working with clients and myself, family members, everything when it comes to your credit score, if you do what we were just talking about, where your expenses are going into the credit card, that's going to help to revolve this account more, which appears to boost your credit scores. Okay, so if this has a due date here, and the amount due is $400, if you will take 100, what I put 100% for? If you'll take and pay 100 here, week 1, 100 here, week 2, 100 here, week 3, 100 here, week 4, you're breaking up the interest cycle. So it doesn't sit for 25 days. You're breaking it up, meaning you're hitting this 10,000 with $100 payments throughout the month. That's totaling this 400 that they are requiring you to put into the card that month. Okay, so this has been known to reduce your interest charges a little bit, but the big thing that happens here is that credit score boost. I have seen credit scores boost from 40 to 120 points by the next reporting date just because you're revolving your credit cards more throughout the month. Okay, this also may prevent a trigger that the credit card companies would cut your limits by doing these big payments once a month. Okay, so keep all of this in mind when you're using your credit cards throughout the month. Now, if you want to get really serious and want to revolve those credit cards more, then maybe if you go to the grocery store today and spend $50, you'll put $50 back into the credit card tomorrow. Remember, you're going to be spending the money anyway. You're going to eat. You have to eat. Choose a card and decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to put my income into the card first, and then I'm going to charge out what I spend. A great way to revolve your credit cards to see if that doesn't boost your credit score and lower those interest charges a little bit for that month, okay? I hope if you're on a payment plan, then you have probably a low credit score. When I've seen people that go into like the national debt relief, what the heck? I almost, that's so irritating to me because that ruins your credit and doesn't help you do anything but have another payment to make. Okay, I'm gonna quit talking about that because I'm gonna get mad. But don't do these consolidation debt relief things. Please work that out on your own. I haven't seen an example yet when I said, oh, yeah, I'm so glad you went into that debt relief company. They really did you a favor. No, you can ruin your own credit. You don't need to pay a company to do it. Okay. Another thing, guys, if you are running a business and you're in those MCA loans, bless you, stop the cycle on that, okay? I'm telling you, some things are set up to not just trip you up and make you fail, but not just fail, but destroy you. So please be careful with what you're choosing to use when it comes to bank tools, okay? Youch. Yeah, Deborah, that really dropped out, didn't it? Oh my goodness. I feel like whenever you make a payment to the credit card, then match your bills to whatever amount you paid. I feel like we go back to square one and don't make any progress on bringing the balances down. MJ, that's why I was showing you that you take your cash flow and you can put into your credit card too now, so you are reducing that balance. That's why in the example, and you might need to go back and watch this replay of this live, but in the example, there was a $1,300 cash flow now that I said she could put into the balance of that credit card and start working down the balance as well. Okay. So go back and maybe rewatch that. All right. Yeah, hit the like button. Hi, Miss Breezy. Oh my gosh, I don't get to see you much anymore. I just hope that the information that you're getting on the channel is of value and that it's helping you to think. You need to think about what's going on in your finances. Once you think, you figure out a few things, there's no reason that you can't get out of debt. You're only in the wrong banking tools. Once you figure out what banking tools work for you, then you're going to be free. That's what we want. That's what I want for you, is I want you to find financial peace, and then the freedom comes. Once you're in peace and you're enjoying your family, you're watching your kids grow up, you've quit the stupid second job, you've quit delivering pizzas, unless that's just something that you love to do. When you're in peace, then you'll come to freedom because you're watching these tools work for you. You're using your income to work for you, and you've stopped all of this silly stuff that's going on with these high interest bank tools. Okay. We've got Houston in the house. Synchrony is very bad about cutting limits. I have seen that a lot. I don't know what they're doing. But I have seen that. Oh, good. River rat. Yay. Glad you got the HELOC. That is awesome. I'm so glad you popped in too, Miss Breezy. Thank you, Truth Seeker. God bless you, Chrissy. You've given me such hope for the future. I am so glad to hear that. That makes me happy. So I just appreciate you jumping on here for a minute to join me. I know that you need to get to bed probably too. We've got another busy day tomorrow, but it's super exciting to watch you guys stepping into financial peace. I'm just so excited that you're finding some answers, and that is what matters. You've made reference to a line of credit from the bank, but all bankers treating those as loans. Can you all bankers treating those as loans? I don't know what that means, but I have many lines of credit and none of them are loans, so I'm not sure what that means. What is a HELOC? A HELOC is a home equity line of credit. You have to have a home. You have to own a home to get a HELOC. 640 credit score for a HELOC. You need to work on, like I said, maybe the credit card strategy there will boost your credit score. If you have a high debt ratio, Money Max may be your answer, okay? Because I know Money Max doesn't care about your credit score, and as long as you have $1 in cash flow, you can do great things. A good credit union, all of those depend on your area, okay? So we have, I don't know, 6 or 7 right here in my area. So if I were looking for a line of credit, I would go to each and ask, what their lines of credit limits look like, what kind of credit score you need, how you can use them, stuff like that. Yes. Okay. So, should you put 0 interest cards in your HELOC or wait until yes, you wait until I personally wait until the promotion period is about to end on 0% credit cards before I put them into my line, because why would you pay interest when you don't have to, right? The home equity to limit. It all depends on your cash flow, how you can revolve that to get that down. You just have to have a good cash flow to do that, okay? You're doing your EKG exam tomorrow for your whole life. Yay, good luck with that. I hope you get into them. I absolutely love my infinite banking. Oh, love it. Got a US bank account today, going to get a PLOC 90 to 120 days from now. Well, all right, good for you. US Bank, I've heard is very good to work with. Quick question asking for someone, what's the difference between infinite banking and the Money Max? Totally different. Totally different. The infinite banking concept is absolutely beautiful. It's becoming your own banker as far as you're handling your money, you're recapturing your payments. A beautiful concept. I absolutely love. That's now my favorite thing to do. The Money Max is kind of like online banking. Um, but what you do is you sign into your account and you just look at what it tells you to do with your money for that day or that week. So it's more than a software. I hate to call it a software, but what it does is it eliminates interest. So if you are paying 4% on a mortgage, which we know is truly 80, no, oh my gosh, yeah, 80%. So if you've got a 4% mortgage, you're truly paying a volume of interest of about 80%. The Money Max can bring that down in most cases to about 2%. So 80% to 2%, that's why they eliminate debt so fast, is they are an interest eliminator. And it's also kind of a budgeting like thing that shows you exactly what to do with your money so that you're not second guessing anymore. If you get an extra $100, you put it in the Money Max and it shows you exactly where to put that so that you're paying off debt quickly. Okay. So it's kind of a do all as far as telling you exactly what you need to do so you're getting into the debt elimination period faster. So the Money Max is always going to beat the line of credit by about 2 years. Okay, always. So if I give you a 7-year payoff, the Money Max is going to come in and say 5 years most of the time. That's just because it's an interest eliminator. How big of chunks should you pay towards your mortgage? 100% of your HELOC or less. Depends on your cash flow again. Depends on the credit you have available outside of that HELOC, meaning I never use my HELOC, for example, over 50% because I don't like having a large balance and I don't like feeling like I've got a big debt to pay. But based on my cash flow, I'm going to know how quickly I can pay off that line of credit. So your chunks need to be in amounts that your cash flow can handle, I think, every 5 to 6 months. What does that mean? So if I have $2,000 a month in cash flow, for example, and I want to do a $10,000 chunk into my mortgage, you would just take the 10,000 and divide that by your cash flow. So if I have 2,000 per month in cash flow, then that means what? I'm going to pay this off in a little over 5 months with any interest. So you might do a $10,000 chunk every 5 months because you're going to have it paid off with your cash flow. So that's kind of the way I look at it, is how much cash flow do you have? And if you want to do larger chunks, have at it. If you want to do a $20,000 chunk and then have it paid off within, less than a year with this 2,000 cash flow, that's kind of the way I like to look at it, because it keeps me motivated to be looking towards or forward to that next 5 to 6 months. I always like to move the money around. So I look for ways that I'm going to be bringing debt into the line and then watching my income pay it down fast. Okay. I guess the better question would be, paying a mortgage, would it be best to go infinite or money? It depends. Again, I've seen the Money Max beat infinite banking. I've seen infinite banking beat Money Max. It just depends. That's why we have the free consultations, is so that you can try the Money Max, have your personal analysis. That's free. They're going to tell you what they can do based on the debt that you have. Or then the infinite banking will do the same thing. We have a team set up that will also tell you how that is going to work for you using the IBC and how quickly you'll be out of debt. So that's what the free consultations are about, is getting you the answers that you need way before you go into buying in or jumping in to that, okay? We don't want you to be wasting your money. A line of credit interest depends on what kind of line. If you're in a personal line of credit, you're talking about 12 to maybe 16% interest, maybe 10%, depends on the bank you're using. With a HELOC, you're averaging about 8%. Whole life, I have my team that I work with, so they are the ones that do my policies and the ones I send my clients to. I have a team for that. With MoneyMax, do you still do velocity banking along with it, or simply follow their method? After a detailed call with them, they suggest a high yield savings account. Great question. I just worked with a client that she's using a line with the MoneyMax so that she can transfer debt loans into the line and let her income go into the line, which is satisfying that monthly payment. So the payment that was due on the loan is now cash flow that she's putting into the MoneyMax. Wow, that was a lot. But if you've worked with the MoneyMax at all, then you know what I'm saying about gaining cash flow. Okay. Going for your 5th HELOC by August. Awesome. Yes, so I have a lender that does do the investment property HELOCs. I will put his information in here if that's somebody that you need to talk to. You can go schedule you an appointment with him. So this is investment HELOCs. They also work in Texas, and I know Texas is kind of tough to get some HELOCs. They also work in Maryland. So that's that. Let's see. That's awesome, Derek. Excited for you. You should find out how many people you've helped with. Oh my gosh, Derek, so many. So many. Thousands. Okay. Don't know exactly, but I'm talking about just the ones that I've worked with. Thousands. So a lot of people, over 20, I think over 25 million views on this channel. That makes me happy because I know that people are getting the information. If they're using it, totally your prerogative. I don't care if you use it or not, but I hope that you get some value out of it. Okay. You're welcome, Miss Breezy. Okay, guys, I am going to sign off. I can't believe it's almost midnight. I have to get up and do this again tomorrow. I'm excited too, but I wanted to jump in here and say hello and just give you a little boost, letting you know that you can get out of the mess you're in with a little bit of education. That's all we're missing, is getting educated on how to use the tools at the bank. Okay. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your evening. If you're going to be sitting up here late, crazy people, get some rest. Have a great day tomorrow as well. And I look forward